Way better roll. Way better. Like, love it. I'm like,
Ready?
okay.
This is Haley.
And this is Bailey. You're listening to Unleashed.
You know what the worst thing ever is?
What?
Mosquito bites.
I know. I don't really get bit by mosquitoes.
I know you don't. Literally, you could be naked outside and you wouldn't get bit. And I literally am covered head to toe. And I have one little spot on my ankle that's showing. And they are just, I have like 10 mosquito bites on my ankle right now. And they're driving me crazy.
I know. It's so crazy because you literally went outside with like pants on that were barely showing your ankles.
Barely. I had long sleeves. I'm like, I was wearing a sweater.
My mom always says it's B vitamins.
I wouldn't be surprised. I mean, but then on top of that, I'm like, I don't want to put that natural, like, or not the unnatural mosquito repellent stuff on me, that like DEET stuff or whatever.
Yeah.
Because I'm like, that's not going to help. I mean, that's just going to create other issues in other places.
For sure.
There's just so many different things you can use to help avoid the mosquitoes. Products. I mean, there's supplements. I mean, we talk about this all the time. And it's funny because I feel like anytime anything holistic or natural or DIY, like a recipe made from home, people look at you funny. People like are so critical, I think. I mean, not as much as it used to be. I mean, but they can be so
it depends
hesitant.
Who you're surrounded by too, and if you're doing it on social media, it's a whole different thing.
Yeah.
But I feel like some people, if you're in your close circle, are like really into that stuff, then it's like more, let's say, quote, normal. Where if people aren't, they're like, wait, what? You do what? No, I'm just going to use this.
Yeah.
Why? It's easier. Or this is, well, that's what people know.
Yeah. Well, it's really unfortunate. So like just kind of putting a little like side note on this, if this episode is going to be kind of controversial for some people and it might upset some, it might not. I'm not going to say anything that's like crazy, but I mean, using natural versus, I think, Eastern medicine versus Western medicine, holistic, non-holistic. I mean, there's a balance with both. We definitely do both.
And we both talk about this on our
page. I mean, you just need to be prepared for that. This is just from our opinions, obviously.
Yeah. I talk about it a lot on my page, how I do acupuncture. My dog also does acupuncture. That's one form of doing things a little different. I started doing acupuncture actually a few years ago because I had such bad period cramps that I literally couldn't get out of bed. And Evan was like, Bailey, this is not normal. And I was like, what do you mean? Like, everybody gets cramps.
Yeah, you think it's normal. It's
and
not.
He was like, no, like, you shouldn't feel like this. And then I started going to acupuncture. I started going to this Chinese doctor. And it literally, when I say it changed my life, like, it was so crazy. Like, I could not get out of bed on my period. I felt like I was always going to throw up. I had to take like ibuprofen, Advil, all these things to feel better. But really, they were just masking the problem.
Yeah, it was just masking the symptoms so that way you wouldn't be in pain.
Yeah. I started going to acupuncture consistently. I barely get cramps anymore. Like, I'll get them here and there if I'm not consistent. I feel totally normal on my period. Like, I don't have to lay in bed. I'm going to work out. Like, I do things.
Yeah, you work out on your period, which is not usually your energies are like.
Yeah. And of course, like, there's times when I'm not consistent that I do notice it, but it's crazy how much it changes. And really what's interesting is my dad was like talking to me and he was more like, I don't know if acupuncture is going to work, but like, try it. And then he was the one that was like, oh my gosh, you are so different. Like, I can see such a difference. And that's when I feel like I was raised more holistically and I'm open to doing both different kinds of medicine, but it really like changed my perspective as I got older and I started doing acupuncture and that kind of stuff to really like get in tune with my health.
Yeah. And I mean, I had recently just started acupuncture because you told me about this.
Yeah.
I mean, I have endometriosis, which means that there's scar tissue that grows on the outside of your uterus, and that's not normal. And then I also have ovarian cysts. One's the size of a golf ball right now, and that's why I'm going to acupuncture. I'm going to the same Chinese doctor, and one ruptured in March. And so that pain, I mean, I deal with severe abdominal pain all the time. My period is about 15 days long on average. And that's a long time like that. And I am bleeding. And so it's just like, but the pain is actually, it was around 5 days usually. And now I'm probably around 2 really bad days. And so I've been going for about 2 months now, 3 months. And I just found out I have to go, I have 12 more sessions I have to do. I'm like,
it'll be such a difference too. I've been going for, I think 3 years.
I know. Now. And so I'm like, I'm hoping that like the more like I'm already feeling a difference, but I mean, they were telling me you need to have surgery to have these cysts removed.
And that's when we were talking and we were like, I was like, wait, don't do that yet.
Yeah, and I had the appointment scheduled with the doctor, and I was researching all of it. I was talking to all these people who have endometriosis, and they're like, "Yeah, I've had it. It ends up coming back, and you just had the surgery again." And I'm like, I don't want it to come back because this affects fertility, it affects your moods, your hormones, everything. It is so painful. They say it is one of the top most painful chronic, things that can be like experienced next to like kidney stones, labor, like it's up there. And so I'm just like, I don't want it to come back. I want it gone.
You
How
don't
do
want
I
to mask
get
the
rid of
problem.
it?
You want to
Yeah,
get it
yeah. I
like
mean, yeah,
solve the
surgery. Okay,
problem.
if it's needed, have it cut out, but then maintain it maybe with acupuncture. I don't know, but then I was like, all right, I'll try it. It's taking longer.
It's a slow
It's
process.
longer, and it's just like, oh my gosh! But I cannot even imagine. I mean, I ended up in the hospital because of my cyst rupture. It was so bad.
Yeah, before you were going to acupuncture.
Yeah, before. And so then you were like, try this doctor. And I remember having the appointment scheduled with the guy and with my other doctor. And you're like, just try it. And then I just remember calling the day before we were supposed to leave, being like, I'm canceling the appointment with him and I'm going to this Chinese doctor. You're going. And Bryce was like, wait, what? He's like, because he was seeing me in so much pain. He's like, I just want it to stop like immediately. And so I get that. But I'm like, I want it gone forever. I don't want it to keep coming back. It sucks. And like, there are so many things. I was like, what has been causing this? And this has been an accumulation of a lifestyle. I mean, I've had this since I was a teenager. And so it was really cool that you were able to introduce me to this kind of a lifestyle. Cause like you said, you grew up more holistic.
Yeah, I was definitely raised more holistically. But again, like I'm open to both things. Like that's what I love
think you
about
need
our
both.
Chinese doctor is like he will tell you like I can do this or I can't. You should go to this person. And I think that's what's so cool is when you are open to, for me at least, like being open to both and just seeing what works because there's so many different things you're going to need different,
Yeah.
help for different things, different ways.
I totally agree. What's unfortunate about having a more natural, holistic perspective and lifestyle is that you're automatically, I think, deemed from a Western perspective as a hippie. A lot of stereotypes.
It's funny because I don't think of it that way. Like I don't know.
That's how it is because I was raised very Western.
Yeah, so like I don't see that. Like people that are around me, I don't. Yeah, it's very normal for me.
And so it's like, and I hear all the time people say, "Oh, she's kind of a hippie," and I'm like, "Well, why is that thing?" Like we also live in a world where dieting, eating healthy is considered dieting. Like how toxic is that in my opinion? Like because we're eating a clean lifestyle, it's now considered dieting because we eat so much.
It's so interesting though, like talking about this because like I feel like how I was raised and the people around me, like that eating healthy was a very common thing for the people around me. So like I didn't even like know it was considered dieting.
Yeah,
maybe I'm just like, but that's just like the people I was around.
That's the thing, like that's good because it was considered a lifestyle for you. Yeah, where eating healthy is a lifestyle, and then maybe every now and then you.
But that's what's so interesting because it's like how differently you're raised and who you're surrounded by can make such a difference on what is deemed right and wrong.
It's true. And like, so yeah, you were raised holistically. It wasn't until I was probably in high school, my mom was kind of introduced to GMOs. I mean, you'll see a lot of like food labels and products, non-GMO, which is a genetically modified organism, I believe, or yeah. And so it means that it was somehow altered in the making of it to be a certain way. And there are certain types of foods out there that are like you really should stay away from. Anyway, that was the beginning of my mom's like journey with that. And then it kind of sparked my curiosity with my skincare. I was looking at the products and the ingredients in those products and then I was sharing it with her. And then my sister had a friend who was also kind of more of a natural lifestyle. And so that sparked it in her. And it just kind of like it just started down, it just started going. And now my family is way more holistic. They're actually going to acupuncture now because I was like, you guys need to try this. And so
I love that.
Yeah, my brother got Bell's palsy, which is paralysis in the face. It looks like a stroke. And he couldn't move his face for months. And so then he went to acupuncture and now it's all good.
Oh, that's amazing.
It's amazing.
I was going to ask you on products because I'm sure this will help people that are listening. I'll share mine too, but what facial products do you use right now?
So this is what's really hard about using with skincare is that a lot of skincare have high allergic reactions because they're used with plant products.
Interesting.
And so people, if you're prone to like sensitive skin and allergic products, you have to go very slowly because there's more plant-based in them. Yeah. And so
everybody has to find what works for them, but
yeah. And so for me, I mean, I love Biossance is what I use. I don't use them full-heartedly for everything. I just that's my main like face wash. Beauty Counter is a great one. They're a little more expensive and they're harder to get. There was, what is it? Oh, it's for like shampoo. I'll use like Alba from They sell them at Target, I believe, and they have sunscreen too. There's so many products I could
And
get
everybody
into.
uses like everybody's level of what like how clean things are. Everyone's gonna do that differently.
Yeah.
I use True Botanicals, which the reason I switched was Evan's mom. Actually, I was at their house and I was like breaking out really bad. I couldn't get my face to clear up, and she was like, "Just try this. Use it over the weekend," which has never happened to me. And my entire face cleared up, and now I use them all the time, and I love their products. And it's like a cleaner product line, which I love. But it just made such a difference for me. So I was like, I'm going to stick with this. It is more expensive, but for me, it's worth it to have a cleaner product and something that clears up my
Yeah.
face.
And I think what's often seen too with our products and our foods is having a healthier or a more natural lifestyle comes with a price tag. They are so expensive. I was telling Bryce, holy moly, if we're going to have this lifestyle and we're going to have kids, we have to make sure we're very much aware of, budgets and stuff like that because it is expensive. And I say start small, especially if you aren't like as involved with the taking a natural approach. Start small with your cleaning products, and you actually will save so much money when you swap your cleaning products from Clorox to and Tide and all of those, brand names that you'll buy on the shelf to using vinegar, water, and alcohol. That's all you
And
need.
there's so many things. This is actually something we had like written down on this topic was there's so many different things. There's cleaning products, there's facial products, there's doctors, there's all these things to live a healthy lifestyle. But I feel like for me, it's like the 80-20 rule. It's like finding what works for you and for me, it's like being healthy 80% of the time. And then 20% of the time, living a little bit more like eating sugar, having fun, maybe not working out every single day. And that's where you have to find what areas of your
It's a
life
balance.
do you want to switch out? Like, is it cleaning products? Is it facial
Yeah.
products? Because it's hard to step into it and it's a lot to learn. Like, I am still learning so much. Like, I learn a lot from you. I learn a lot from my mom. I learn a lot from researching, like all these different things. And as you go, you're going to learn more and more about certain things. And you might be like, oh, I used this for a while. I actually end up not loving it and switching to something else. And that's what takes, like, living a healthy lifestyle. Something I will say is it takes time and it's not just an easy solution in any way. And that's what's the most tedious part about it.
It's so overwhelming. I remember when I first was full-fledged, like, diving into it, and I'm a person of such extremes where I will either be all in it or I'm, like, not in it at all, and I've really learned to find the balance with it, but in the beginning, I just remember saying, like, "This is not sustainable." You cannot avoid every toxic product in your life, especially because as we start to see brands kind of I call it greenwashing, and I think actually everybody calls it that, where a product is labeled clean and it looks clean, but if you read the ingredients, that's what it comes down to. If there's anything that you can't pronounce essentially or you're not familiar with,
Yeah.
don't buy it. And if like natural flavors, that's a proprietary ingredient where you can have over 3,000 ingredients in it just behind that because they say that they don't want companies listing off what makes that product their product. And so they're allowed to hide a ton of other ingredients just in that. So it's like, obviously, you can't avoid it forever. And so you have to allow yourself some grace. Otherwise, you're not going to do it. It's going to be overwhelming and you're just going to set yourself up for failure.
Yeah. I mean, there's just so many different steps into going into it. And I think it can be so overwhelming. And that's like something recently I've been doing. I just did a vitamin test. And the reason is because we'd gone to my doctor. I had vitamins, but then I was like, I'm changing. And I didn't know where to start. I could research all these vitamins, but you really don't know. So we did vitamin test. And now I'm trying to get on a better routine, even though I've always taken vitamins, is like actually taking what like benefits me and like all this stuff because everybody's body is so different and we can share what works for us, but what works for us is going to be different for somebody else. And I think that's what takes so long is like there's not an easy answer. I think people have a hard time like with acupuncture. It's not just a here come to one appointment. It's like you're going 3 times a week for a little while. I've been going for 3 years. I'm not going every single week, but it's a lot more maintenance, but you're creating like a healthier lifestyle overall.
It definitely is. And there's so many different things that you can do just to even improve your life just a little bit. I say when you're taking vitamins, first of all, vitamins are such a sensitive topic for me because there are so many things that are just you don't need in a vitamin and you're paying for expensive poop because you're just going to poop it out. You're like, that's what's going to happen. And so you're wasting your money, your body's not absorbing it. And these companies are just putting out all these vitamins and it's like you don't need your vitamin to have food coloring in it. Like that alone is that's not good for you. And the same with medicine. I mean, when I went to Europe, it was so refreshing because they don't have food coloring in the medicine they have. And that was really nice. I mean, when you went to Europe, did you experience anything drastically different with the way they run things over there? They
For
have so much
sure. The
more strict.
pharmacies are so different. Getting medicines there is so different. And it is interesting to see how differently we do it here versus there.
Mhm. I think that for a lot of people, the reason, aside from the cost of living natural life and getting products, aside from, yeah, like I said, from the cost, is they don't know where to start.
You don't know where to start. And that's actually
And you
something
don't
I
know
was
what to
going to
look for.
say. Yeah. Is having, like you said, you were mentioning, like people can say you're this or something, like people can be judgy about it. And we both obviously had very different experiences just because of like people we were surrounded by or how we were raised or whatever. But I will say, for me, like having people like you or like Evan, like people that were raised or are living similar lifestyles, it's a lot easier because I can come to you and be like, hey, I'm kind of thinking, like, I got my vitamin test back and I was starting to like have a conversation with you about it and you understand and are supportive and are able to communicate with me about it versus being judgy. And I think that makes a really big difference because when you aren't feeling good or something's wrong, it can be easy to just like, talk to somebody and be like, oh my God, okay, I'm doing this wrong. But really, it's like you want to be able to talk to people and kind of like work through it and figure out what's going to be the best thing for you. And having people around you that are supportive makes a really, really big difference.
It's crucial. I mean, it's a make or break kind of a thing. And if you don't have a friend or a family or someone around you to kind of support you and kind of maybe living a more natural lifestyle, I highly recommend following Dr. Mark Amen on Instagram. That's his name, right? Or Daniel Amen. I think it's Mark Hyman. I just mixed it up.
Mark Hyman. You want to
It's
say it
Mark
again?
Hyman and then Daniel Amen. He's a brain doctor and
Oh,
he
yes.
explains things so thoroughly, a child can understand it. And so it's like, oh my gosh, that's a simple thing, like adjusting your breakfast,
Yeah.
adding this into your day. I mean, he's the one that taught me about the vitamin L-theanine for anxiety. And I was like, oh my gosh. And I started taking it as needed when I kind of feel more anxious in a day. And it just takes the edge off. And I'm like,
That's
those
amazing.
little things are good for people to know.
And yeah,
And he helps break it down.
that is so nice. Being able to follow people that you learn from is so important because for them sharing it, it's controversial. They're getting a lot of feedback and you have to be in a spot where you're ready to share about that. And that's why that's something we've touched on, but we haven't dove into because we know it comes with feedback and you have to be ready for that feedback. But it is so nice to find like accounts or even just friends or people that you can talk to, but also have those like accounts where you can just like watch and kind of learn and be like, oh, I'm going to take this away and I'm not going to take that away or whatever it
Yeah,
is.
you got to apply it to whatever works for your life. And there was where I've also started the Instagram account. It's called Just Ingredients.
Okay.
She's where I get all my protein powders from, and we have our pre-workout. She's great. She'll basically say, if you're eating this, maybe try using this, and she'll like show you a better option, a good, better, best, and like she'll explain why that ingredient is not good. If you have ADHD or ADD, you should avoid red food coloring in products because there is a chemical in it that will freak out in your brain when you have those already, and it will only enhance the distraction, the hyperactivity, the brain fog. And
That's
so
so
it's
interesting.
so interesting. And we cut it out of my niece. She's 10 years old.
Okay.
She was having a lot of sugar and she was also having a lot of red 40, and my sister took that out of her diet. I mean, she didn't cut sugar out completely. I mean, she's a
Yeah.
kid, but she just helped her be more aware of, let's eat a little bit less sugar night and day.
That's
Her
so
She
interesting.
doesn't come home after school and have like these huge crying episodes. She doesn't, I mean, her learning is getting better. It's just those little things that you just I used to be like, oh, don't have it at all. Like you shouldn't have it at all. But no, you can maybe rather than having it every day, maybe have it just every now and then.
Yeah.
Like, did you know Doritos have food coloring in them
Ew.
and pickles?
Ew, I don't like pickles. That's
Yeah,
good.
well, that's good. Yeah, pickles have yellow food coloring in them. Um, certain ketchup can have food
I
coloring
could
in
see
it.
that.
It's just like things that I'm like, why?
Yeah, there's just no
Why?
point in it, but it's like to catch the eye or
Yeah,
something
and
like
so
that or to make it look more appealing.
exactly, and it's like you have things that are like, "Oh, I'll have a soda here, or I'll have some Doritos here and there." But when you have a little bit of everything in a day,
Yeah.
it adds
80/20 rule. 80/20 rule.
80/20. I love that. I mean, so when you look at your lifestyle and how you've grown up with a natural environment, was it hard for you at all to be around people who didn't understand that?
I don't remember really having people. I guess there were some people in my life that didn't understand it, but I think at that point it was probably more my mom sharing like our lifestyle, I'm guessing, because I was younger. I feel like as I've grown into it more and I understand it more, I just like am like, oh, this is what I do. But I'm not like, usually the people that I'm talking to about it in depth are pretty open to it. And then I feel like the people that aren't, I'm always like, this is just what I do. But I'm totally like, I don't judge people for doing it differently. And I think that's made a big difference. I don't really feel like I've had a lot of judgment, but I also don't think I'm surrounded by a lot of people that are not in that maybe like same idea or
Yeah, that
same
makes
thinking. I don't know if that's how to explain it, but like Evan was raised more holistically and
and
organically,
that's
and that
really
makes a
important
big
that if you're in a relationship, I mean, it's not like it's a make or break, but it just that support and
yeah,
understanding is so important. So that way it not only helps you, but it helps each other to
yeah,
understand.
definitely.
It was really hard for Bryce to transition over.
That was my same with my parents. My mom was more holistic after she got in her car accident and she struggled for so long. She went more holistic after that because she couldn't find a solution because she
Interesting.
had Lyme disease and she didn't
Was
know
she
for 5
holistic
years.
before her?
Not as much.
Okay.
She started to learn more about it because she couldn't get diagnosed for 5 years. And then my dad has slowly like learned more of it, but really what pushed my mom was being so sick. And I think a lot of times that is what can happen. Like what can happen is you just run out of options, so you start to look other
And that's exactly
places.
it. Like I
Like for
just
you, like you were in a position where you had to look like for this acupuncture and that you were in a spot where you kind of had to pick
yeah.
and just try it because you knew that wasn't you didn't think it was
Yeah,
going to fix it.
I'm creating YouTube on that whole experience from start to finish, and it's such an emotional roller coaster because it's like I have highs, I have lows, and it's like I'm still in the midst of it all. So I can't say actively if it's where I'm at with it. I have to get scans to see if the cysts have dissolved even a little bit, but we'll see how it goes. But that's super interesting that it was the circumstances your mom was in to kind of push her into the direction of being more holistic. And so was your dad not as open to it?
He's definitely still growing into
Yeah,
it more, I
I think
feel like.
for
But
guys
they
it's a
work
little
really
harder.
well as like figuring it out together and that kind of stuff. But I think it's so different for everyone. And like I'm really thankful for me that Evan is more like holistic and organic and that kind of stuff because I think as I've grown up, I'm getting more confident, especially over the last few years. I feel like I've gotten more and more confident with it. And having somebody that like is I'm able to talk to and support me with it, that's been super helpful. Even though I was raised that way, it's still there's so many different things.
Oh,
Like you said, you learn a lot and like I do IVs before I travel and like just little things.
yeah,
It's not like everything, but I guess I don't think of it because like when I share, oh, I've got an IV, I'm like, oh, that's just like a normal thing. And people are like, wait, you get IVs? And I was like, oh,
it's not
like
normal.
I didn't realize that I was doing something that wasn't as normal.
So your dad was more hesitant with it.
Yeah,
And
definitely.
that's exactly how
And
Bryce
he'll
was.
be like, he literally said, I didn't think acupuncture was going to work, but when I saw it work,
They're very much
that's
like
when,
1 + 1 = 2. They have to
yeah,
kind of see the end meet
yeah,
of it, and not every guy is like that. Bryce was definitely when I started transitioning all of his like hair products over, and like I took out the cologne and all those like unnecessary things that I know that are a part of his. They're like a core of his routine and product. He was like, I am not using this. I do not like it. And he did not like that I switched his deodorant. We've gone through like 5 or 6 different types of deodorants
oh,
to
I
find one.
found one I love. What do you love?
Uh,
We're gonna have we need in this podcast in the caption.
yes.
We'll have like a list
I
of
have like
things
a
we're
whole,
talking
I
about.
have like a 12-page,
I love
21
salt and
page.
stones.
It's
That's
really
what I
long
use.
paper of all these things I've learned. I was actually
Oh,
writing like a
nice.
mini manual for my mother-in-law when she had
Oh,
cancer
nice.
of things she can swap when she
Oh,
was when she was going through
yeah.
chemo. So I can look at that and see if maybe that's something we can use too. But where was I with that?
What deodorant you guys
Oh yeah,
use?
what deodorant? It's in a glass tube. It's a roll-on.
Not salt and stone? Not what I use.
No, it's
Okay. I've gotten so many people on salt and stone lately. I love it. I
I
think
like
that's
that. Yeah, yours smells good. I don't use one with a fragrance though.
I definitely need a fragrance. That's for sure. That's where like I find like certain things I kind of like I'm like
Yeah, I
that
have to
I
be super
need.
careful with those though because much like natural flavors, that's what fragrance is for products. And
Yeah.
so
But that's like also like I use just a normal perfume. You know, like there's different
yeah, then
things
that's your
where
80/20 thing. And that's
yeah.
what works for you. And I think I'm coming off of my such high extreme. It's called Necessaire.
Okay. Yeah.
Yeah, they have a eucalyptus one, and Bryce was like, "We should try that one." I'm like, "Yeah, we could probably try that one," but like, it's just those little things. They actually were saying that deodorant was what they were finding was correlated to a lot of breast cancers, the toxic ones,
Interesting. I could
because
see
you rub
that.
it on your arms
Yeah.
and then it's right next to where a woman's breast is.
That's like perfume. I don't wear it. Like I put like a dab, but I probably will eventually find like a more natural one.
It's hard because if you're finding these natural products, you want to be able to smell them and try them out. But when you're ordering them online, you don't know what you're getting.
Yeah.
So it's like,
It took me a little with the Salt and Stone. I had to try a few, but like a few of my friends also use it and my family. So it was easy. We all kind of had one and we were like, this one, yes, this one, no. Like
it's so hard. And that's the thing is that when you're trying new products and trying to find ones you like, you just even making like finding one that's aluminum free.
Yeah.
You don't have to find a full clean brand and, make your own DIY, deodorant paste, but just even removing aluminum from it can make a huge difference. I mean, there's a lot of things like that you can do. Depends on how intense in your lifestyle you're wanting to go, because obviously you can literally go full-fledged ham on it. But I'll tell you, I've done that and it's very hard, and it can put you into a huge downward spiral and mental, I don't know, whoa, if you want to say. It's hard. And so you just have to make sure that you're doing things slowly and transitioning. Is there anything that if someone said like, oh, I will definitely like, this is what I use for that, but it maybe like isn't considered natural, like that's something you just like, nope, that's what I use. Like for me, Chick-fil-A, I'll always like, just because I have a natural lifestyle does not mean I do not love Chick-fil-A or French fries or cake or desserts. It's just like, people automatically assume that, oh, well, if you don't do that, you must.
I definitely don't overthink everything I eat or every product. I just try and be a little conscious of it, but I try and live it. I don't overthink it or stress about it really. I will take it, like, I feel like Salt and Stone. Like my mom got it and she was like, hey, this is a really good one. And so I switched from the other natural one, and this one's a little more natural than the one I was using before. And like, I just kind of baby step, I think, into it in a lot of ways. But overall, I don't feel like I try and overthink it, because I think it can lead to unhealthy too, where if you're overthinking everything you eat and everything you use and everything you do, then you start to stress about everything, because you're never going to be able to actually get every single thing.
And then you'll just tap out, and then you won't do it.
It's like I started with a plastic water bottle, like a travel plastic water bottle. And my mom was like, you really shouldn't be using that. And I baby stepped into getting one that wasn't. Yeah. And I think you just find that if you overthink everything, it's going to stress you out more than being able to make those little changes that will make a big difference long term.
And I see all the time, people are all like, when I see someone that's like, oh, I don't feel good, I have this problem, or I have this problem, I've learned so much that I'm like, I know easy things you can do to change that. Like someone was saying they had chronic migraines, and I'm like, oftentimes migraines are a result of a magnesium deficiency. If you have any issues, magnesium is on the top of the list for checking, because that is a essential vitamin.
You know what? This is like kind of random, but I was talking about perfume, and then you said like an easy change. I was using perfume right here on my neck. I was getting these like big welts on my neck,
like
and then Evan,
almost?
welty pimples. And then Evan all of a sudden was like, Bailey, what are you putting on your neck that's different? I was like, nothing. Why? And then one day I was like looking at myself doing makeup, and I put perfume right there. And then he's like, well, if that's doing that there, what's going in your body? So I ended up switching.
Exactly.
But it was like those things. It's like those tiny things maybe you didn't realize. Or like I had headaches almost every day, like all the time. And I've started doing acupuncture, but like magnesium could be, like there's just different
little
ways.
Things. If you can't afford to do acupuncture, maybe adding in a magnesium supplement. The Pure Encapsulation brand is brilliant, except don't do citrate. You'll get diarrhea. Do glycerate. I think is how glycinate. I can't say it. It starts with a G. That is not the one that will give you diarrhea, and your body will absorb it. Like
I just started taking magnesium like a week ago. So
it works. It's one of the few vitamins
I
actually
had
will
the
work
most
immediately.
vivid dreams last night, and a few of my friends that said they were taking it said it gives them such vivid dreams. And last night I woke up and I was like, I had the weirdest dreams.
Yeah, it's one of the few vitamins that works instantaneously.
What I think is so cool about this topic is just like how many different things you can learn. And like I feel like I've learned so much from you and like different things. You've learned stuff from me. Yeah. And I think that's what's so cool is like you're never going to be an expert in any of the like in all areas. Mm-hmm. So like being able to share the different things you learn. Yeah. And like, there are more natural deodorants. Yeah, there are more natural this, but you're going to find those things. Like I said, I started with one natural deodorant and then I went to a more natural deodorant. Yeah. And like you slowly make those changes and you started acupuncture. Like I started getting IVs for travel. And I think those things can be such a big difference. And like, they take time, but it can make such a difference. Like I always feel so good after I get an IV.
Yeah. It's, with IVs are really expensive too. And so like oftentimes if I'm in a situation where I can't get an IV or I know someone that's like, oh, I need to get an IV, but it's just so expensive, I'll recommend vitamin C. And there are so many different vitamin C's that also are not good for you, but just finding like a powder one and that you can add to your drink or eating like a lot of fruit. Obviously, it's not easy, but that's really good. Doubling vitamin C, especially during the seasons where you're sick, you can get sick a lot. Vitamin C is a great one to take before you travel.
Yeah. It's such a difference.
It does. Just giving your immune system a good boost. But then also, I know that with something we talk about often is it's not bad to get sick. I mean, between the pandemic and then everything going on, people are so scared to get sick.
Yeah, and it's good to have some germs for sure.
It is, and it's just,
you got to be careful. I know if there's certain situations, but it is good. Like when you travel, like people will call me on a plane. I'm like, oh my gosh, I really hope I don't get sick. But I always make sure to bring extra vitamins and do like get an IV before I travel or whatever I can do in that situation. But there are times you're gonna get sick. Like me and Evan definitely have gotten sick in this last year. Not as much, but like here and there, I'm like, okay, good. We got our immune system built back up.
Yeah, and it's so important to be aware of your body. I know that anytime Bryce and I would travel, we would do all our like protocol things before we would, get on a plane. And I remember we got to the Bahamas and he had a little bit of a dry cough and it's humid there. And I was like, "Are you getting sick?" And he's like, "No, I just have a dry cough. My throat's dry. It's really dry." I'm like, "It's like 100% humidity here right now. There's no way it's dry." I'm like, "Let's get you some like lozenges." Like I have a little travel sick kit I'll bring, and so I had him stuck on some lozenges and stuff, and he ended up being fine. But yeah, he ended up giving it to me, and I ended up getting sick, and I was like, "Oh my gosh!" So I didn't even think about that, but it's just one of those things that my sister always knew that, or my sister knows that I am very much like, I hate sickness. If you're sick, stay away from me. I don't want to get
Haley
sick.
gets getting real used to it with me around because I'm like, oh, that person's coughing. I didn't even notice.
And then I'm germs. Like, meanwhile, we're walking out of Target and I'm like, everybody around me is coughing. Oh my gosh, I'm going to come out of my skin. But
good luck. I think what really helped me there, I said, when you have kids, I worked at a preschool and you just get so used to like being sneezed on and
that's disgusting.
Just like all the stuff.
Yeah, no.
Like, oh, it's life, whatever. It's all right.
Yeah. And see, for me, I don't like being sick and it's whatever, but it's good for your body to be sick because then you build that, the immune system and it gets stronger and it's like a muscle. You got to work it. Yeah, it's not fun and it sucks, but if you're constantly avoiding getting sick, then you're not going to help that and you're going to be more prone to getting sick. It's kind of like that, like endless cycle. It's like, it's bittersweet for sure, but you just have to make sure that try to not let it inhibit your life and don't let the media or, your friends or people or just living life in general scare you. Like if you are, trying to live a healthy lifestyle, exercising, and that's a whole different topic in itself with exercising, but those little adjustments and switching, adding vitamin C, IVs, or whatever it is, that makes a difference and it can go a long way.
Yeah. And if you're listening to this, find those little adjustments. Like for example, I have an Oura Ring and I love it because I don't use it every single day. I don't look at the data every single day, but it helps me on those days that I don't feel good. Recognize little things that are different and what's the reason for that, or just like all these things in this podcast that we've talked about. Just like if there's one thing you can take away and then do research and find what works best for you, maybe that'll make a little difference that will add up over time.
This has been this topic I could talk about literally forever, and I think we could definitely do more on this
sure.
between product recommendations and just kind of routines.
Yeah, after we were talking, I was like, wait, we have so many products.
I know. I don't even know if we got to half of the stuff we wanted to talk about. Like we were wanting to talk about birth control.
I know. We'll have to do a podcast topic.
No, we should do it. Yeah. Well, that gives you a reason to come back in itself because that one's a whole topic right there.
Yes, there's so many different things. And I think just as we sat here and talked, we realized how many things we use that we use differently too. Like we're not using all the exact same things or doing the exact same thing. Some things we do similar, some things we do different. And I think being able to share our experiences in different ways and dive into it more, because there's so many reasons why I also am more holistic. And just there's so many different reasons that we do things the way we do it.
It's awesome. Well,
thanks for listening and definitely come back because we are going to have some more fun topics like this. Fun, I guess fun for us because we're really into these.
Yeah, it's super fun. It wasn't fun for me in the beginning. And then you learn to make it fun. You got to make it fun somehow. Otherwise, it's just not going to be enjoyable.